Catalonia is a semi-autonomous region of Spain where the football club FC Barcelona plays. When the club was founded in the late 1800s, it was seen as a beacon of independence for many Catalans because at the time the region was under complete Spanish control and Catalan culture could not be expressed in any place outside the Nou Camp, the stadium in which Barcelona played in. Within the stadium, the Catalan language could be expressed. The flag was uh, waved, and the uniforms the players had actually had the colors of the Catalan flag on it. Uh, Progressing into modern times, Catalan culture is not just restricted to the Nou Camp, but it is still frowned upon in many respects because of the calls for independence that the region has had from Spain. In the 17th minute and 14th second of Barcelona games, calls for independence can still be heard because the Catalans don't feel that their relationship with Spain has been mutually beneficial up to this point. They are taxed at a higher rate and feel that they don't get the benefits that they should receive in compensation with the amount of economic growth that they're bringing to their region, being such a populous tourism draw. Um, this has led to, again, calls for independence. And in 2014, a referendum was proposed by the Catalan parliament, and 90% of the 43% of the voting population that turned out called for independence. But Spain has since ruled this unconstitutional and said that they cannot declare their independence and has tried to set up a puppet government in the region to gain control back, but that hasn't stopped 70 out of the 135 seats in the Catalan government or parliament from being controlled by pro-independence candidates, and protests for independence continuing in the streets to this day. Catalans have never felt a part of Spain. They have felt like they are their own region. In fact, in 2010, when Spain won the World Cup, many people in Barcelona did not celebrate at all. For many of the players on that team were of Catalonian descent, and the citizens felt that it was really their World Cup that had been won and not of Spain, since they didn't feel that they were a part of Spain. FC Barcelona, as I stated earlier, has always represented the Catalan people. In the beginning, and their inception of the origin of the team, they were very much tied to the pro-independence movement. Since developing a global brand, they have backed off the strict call for independence, but have still fully supported the Catalan people as they've progressed in their wanting independence. In fact, some of the players, such as Gerard Piqué, have been very much in support of Catalan independence since they are actually Catalonian, which comes in stark contrast to the backed players of Spain, the backed Real Madrid players of Spain, who have great ties to the Spanish government and would like to see a unified Spain and don't want to see Catalonia gain its independence. La Liga comes into play as they are also not in support of Catalan independence and have told FC Barcelona that if the region of Catalonia does gain its independence, that they will be kicked out of La Liga and won't be allowed to play. This is really demonstrative for both La Liga and FC Barcelona, for the rivalry between Real Madrid and FC Barcelona is a huge draw. It is very storied within the league, and both the league and FC Barcelona need each other, as FC Barcelona is a more global brand now, and La Liga is a very prosperous business that would largely decline or would face a lot of negative drawback if Barcelona was forced to leave La Liga and that profit could not be seen. La Liga does have an incentive to not support Catalonian independence because of the other Spanish teams that are in the region. It would be seen as a betrayal to the Spanish government if they were to support Catalonian independence. And they really can't afford to make any other Spanish clubs angry with them if FC Barcelona was to be forced to leave the region. And if FC Barcelona was forced to leave La Liga, it would have negative implications on them, not just because their rivalry with Real Madrid would end, but they could also possibly lose some of their top players, such as Leo Messi, if they were not able to land in a top five league around the rest of Europe. Now, even though the Catalonians have legitimate calls for independence, it is also fair to point out that statehood would bring a lot of different problems to them. One being that they owe a huge debt to Spain, and it is unclear if they gained independence if that would transfer to Spain or to Catalonia and how much debt they would be in as a country. They would also be forced to reapply to the European Union, which would mean they would have to renegotiate trade agreements, draw borders. They would have to get off the euro and wait to see what situation could come up if they could continue to use the euro. And overall, there'd be a lot of things up in the air if they were to gain their independence. So, in terms of a solution that can be found, integrative negotiation is key because understanding needs to come from both sides. The Spanish government and La Liga need to do a better job hearing the calls for independence and understanding the reasons on why Catalonia and Catalonians want their independence and view that their relationship has not been mutually beneficial. And FC Barcelona and the Catalans should also try to make some concessions to La Liga because it is not in their best interest to become completely independent and lose out on the proceeds and the benefits that come from being associated to not only La Liga but Spain as a whole.